What's up? Man, it's been a hot minute. I've been trying my best to get on here and post to you guys. I've had so many people reach out to me and say, "Hey, bro, where's just the guy on my lunch break?" We talk about withdrawals a lot on here. I think we had some folks going through withdrawals from not having the just on my lunch break videos. And so I wanted to make sure I get back on here and just drop you guys a note, let you know that I'm okay. Had a very interesting week last week. All of you know what kind of busy guy I am, how much stuff I have going on, and I just kind of needed to unplug from this for a week and not have to, respond to comments, not have to listen to comments, and just be able to do my own thing. The weekend before last, I went out of town. My wife and I got this beautiful, beautiful cabin up in the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina, which is roughly 3.5-4 hour drive from where I live in North Carolina. I'm right smack dab center of North Carolina. I live in Greensboro, which if you look at the state of North Carolina on a map, Greensboro is literally boop, right there in the middle of it. If you dropped a pin in Greensboro, you would literally be sitting right in the middle of the state. So I think Greensboro is a great place to live. It's a nice place to live, but one of the great things about it is you go 3 hours to the east, you have the coast, you have the beach. You go 3 hours, or actually less than 3 hours to the west, you're into the mountains. So we have really the best of both worlds. And where I live, and to be honest, I should go to the beach and to the mountains much more than I do. I very, very rarely find time to get away because my wife and I are so busy. And as you know, we had a new baby about 4 months ago, little baby River, and he's doing really well. But we went out of town and we were there through Labor Day, and we stayed up until Tuesday of last week, and so I did not come back until Tuesday of last week. So I didn't go back to work until Wednesday of last week. Well, then when same day that I went back to work was my son's first day at daycare. Okay, in the infant room at daycare. Poor baby's never been to daycare before. He goes for one day for about 5.5 hours. We get a message that very night from the daycare saying there's been a positive contact case here. So somebody at the daycare tested positive for COVID. Whoever this was had, works part-time in the infant room, which is where my son was in, right? So he goes into daycare for one day, and we get a message saying that they're having to close the infant room down for the rest of the week. So then we have to keep him home Thursday and Friday. So I had to stay home with him on Thursday. And then Thursday evening, we started noticing he was congested in his nose. Okay. And so, and at that point I started feeling under the weather. And so my son and myself both got sick. It was not COVID, thank God, because, a 4-month-old contracting COVID is pretty scary. So it was not COVID because I tested for it. My wife ended up getting sick later in the weekend. She also tested. It was negative. So despite there being a positive COVID case at the daycare, COVID is not what we have. But as you know, daycares tend to be breeding grounds for illnesses and sicknesses, right? So that's what happened. He'd never been anywhere out of his family, anywhere out of our house and maybe my parents' house and only a couple more places. He's never been in a place where there's a bunch of little other germ carriers in the same room with them. And that's the way that children build up immunities, is by going to places like that and being exposed to these various antigens and germs, right? So he was sick, and I was sick on Friday. So what I'm getting at is last week I only worked one day last week. That was on Wednesday. I was off vacation Monday and Tuesday, Labor Day the day following. Worked one day on Wednesday, had to stay home with my son, whose infant room closed down on Thursday, and then Friday, he and I were both sick, and I stayed out of work and stayed home because I was sick on Friday. So just a lot going on, last week for me, and it's just one of those things where I just had to have some time to kind of gather myself, live life, get better, deal with all of this that was going on, and so that's what I did. I had so many people reach out to me and, hey bro, what's going on? I hope you're good. You haven't posted in a while, haven't heard from you. I really do appreciate that. That lets me know that folks do genuinely have a concern. Or maybe it's just you like listening to my shit every day and you're kind of like, damn man, now I ain't got nothing to do. Just a guy on my lunch break was becoming like my regular, everyday thing at so and so time throughout the day. And now what am I gonna do? And I know some people use me as their workout buddy. They go to the gym, put their earpiece in, and listen to my show. And anyway, but it gave me some time to think, gave me some time to look at some things, because as you know, mainly what I talk about on here, and subscribership is continuing to increase, despite the fact that I haven't posted in a week and a half. I'm 3 subscribers from 400 right now, so my subscribers have continued to increase. I've continued getting comments from people who are happening across my channel. It's tough to know why people like the channel the way they do. I don't know if just it's the honesty and transparency that they get on here. Obviously, Kratom is a huge thing in our country. And, I kind of just had to take a moment and decompress and really decide, what is my angle? I mean, on YouTube, let's get real. If you want to be something on YouTube or you want to expand on YouTube, you have to have an angle, right? What's your angle, bro? That sort of thing. I mean, you just get on here and you just talk about whatever. And I have, I've kind of just become a friend to a lot of people. Like, oh, I like this dude's personality. I can relate to a lot of the things he's saying. He's got that same relationship with Kratom or substances or whatever that I've had. And I like the way he articulates talking about it. Seems like a good guy, wants the best for everyone. I've had people just, I think a lot of it is just people kind of see me as a friend that they sit and listen to and talk to and communicate with on a regular basis. Some people happen upon the channel looking for one specific thing. And I've had people come onto my channel that they take Kratom currently. They want to continue taking Kratom. But, their relationship with Kratom at times has gotten out of control. They don't necessarily want to stop altogether because they get a lot of benefits from the Kratom, but they also don't want to go down this dark, miserable rabbit hole with Kratom, what many people call the Kratom trap, where you're just locked in it and then you have to take it every day and you have to maintain a certain level of dosages every day or you start going through these horrible withdrawals, And so there's a lot of people who just want to maintain a better, healthier relationship with Kratom that happen across my channel. But then there's people that, because I've been through phases on here, when I first started the channel, I was heavily addicted to the MIT extracts. Therefore, I was heavily addicted to Kratom in general, right? And the withdrawals were because of that, because of how much of the alkaloid, of the Kratom alkaloid metrogenine is in those extracts. I was pretty heavily addicted to the extracts. And when you're heavily addicted to something like Kratom, you go to curtail your use or you go to lessen your use or stop altogether. You're like, holy shit, damn, I wasn't expecting this. These withdrawals are real. This is some serious shit. This ain't no mental hocus pocus where I'm just imagining feeling bad. Like I'm literally physically feeling bad. not just physically, but emotionally. And that's one of the things that people talk about a lot with Kratom and coming off of the Kratom: the depression, the low mood, the anhedonia, which is just having trouble finding pleasure in things. So with that, and me trying to decide, literally, you guys have gotten to see every spectrum of what an addicted person deals with mentally, when it comes to using substances. You've gotten to see me. I'm tired. You got to see me at my point where I'm tired of this shit. So I'm starting this channel as my accountability mirror, and I'm going to get off of it because it's taking me down a path that I really do not want to go in my life. I don't have time for this. And you saw me start to, come off of the MITs, get onto the powder, start to cut down the powder. And then I got to a point where my wife and I learned that we had a surprise pregnancy. I'm a 47-year-old guy. I've got one 17-year-old son, and I was not looking to have any more children as a 47-year-old guy. You can imagine, I'm not at that stage in my life. I'm past that, or I thought I was past that, And so I'm doing really well, cutting down, get down to really just about a couple of grams of Kratom per day. And then I'm like, holy shit, guys. I come on one Monday and I'm like, guess what? I'm going to be a daddy again. And guess what? It's happening soon. We did not realize that my wife was pregnant. Some of you have heard the story, so for that, I'm going to spare the whole story again. But it was one of those things where it caused me to back off of my taper and say, I can't do this right now. I know what I'm facing. I know it's going to be difficult right now. I really need to be present in the moment. I can't be dealing with this depression, this low mood, this anhedonia. I need to be able to be there for my wife and my family when all this is going on. So I kind of postponed, if you will, my taper and coming off of the Kratom while the birth of my son happened. Because as you know, we only had 6 days to prepare. We found out on May the 6th that we were pregnant. My wife's water breaks on May the 11th. We have the baby on May the 12th. I'm telling you, you can't write this shit. So whether that's a good excuse or a bad one, that's what happened. And I went back on the Kratom. So for the first probably several weeks or maybe month after my son was born, I was back on the Kratom, taking the Kratom as much as I wanted to, as often as I wanted to. I wasn't really limiting myself or anything. And I decided at that point, well, let me finish what I started. Let me get myself on a taper. Let me get myself completely off of it so I can kind of reset my tolerance, And so I did that this time, and I came completely off of it and was off of it for almost a month. And you can see those videos. I have a Kratom taper playlist where you can go and I outline how I did this, how I went about this every day, how much I was taking, things I was doing to help with the severity of the withdrawals, including the exercise, any vitamin supplements that I might have been taking, eating super healthy, drinking tons of water, making sure I'm doing things that gave me some sort of artistic outlet. I say again, exercise. I can't reiterate that one enough. So I talk about all these things on this Kratom taper playlist. And so, I got off of it. And then during that time, I was obviously toiling with, how do I feel about long-term sobriety? Do I want to stay off of this forever? And there were times where, maybe I should give it a try. Because I certainly got to some places with Kratom that I did not want to get to. And I certainly got to some places with Kratom where it was no longer a benefit for me, but it was more of a detriment, right? And that's what it's all about. Kratom in and of itself is not the devil. Kratom in and of itself is not the most horrible thing in the world, but it can become that way for people depending on your ability or your inability to be able to control how you use it. right? And that's what it's all about. And the bottom line is, there's people that can control it. There's people that can that have a better measure of control. In other words, when you start to feel yourself kind of pushing over the edge where you're taking it too much, you're able to pull back some, and kind of, dial it back some, pull back on the reins a little bit and say, whoa now, whoa. You've taken it this many days, this many times in a row, this many grams. If you continue to do that, you're going to get to a point where you're starting to have these physical withdrawals and these mental and emotional symptoms again of coming off of it, and want to be able to dial it back off of that. But I've toiled with all of it, and what I came to the conclusion of, and again, some people don't agree with this, but that's where this channel, that's why I needed to unplug for a little bit, because I have come to the conclusion, I have decided that I don't have to explain myself to anyone. I don't. This channel is my own accountability mirror, and I come back to this channel at times when I feel like, okay, I need to make sure I'm keeping myself on the straight and narrow, and making sure that I keep myself at that healthy level and that healthy sort of relationship with Kratom, where I'm getting the mood lifting benefits, but I'm not getting all the negative backlash like you do when you're taking it regularly every day at high amounts for a long period of time, right? And I needed to unplug for a little bit and get to a point where, you know what? I'm bringing people along for the journey. I'm bringing you guys along for the journey. And there's people out there that just want to have a healthy relationship with Kratom. There's people who want to come off of it altogether and stay off of it. And there's people out there that have passed across my channel, or that listen to my channel, that are for 100% abstinence. They're from the NA community or the AA community, and they believe that you can't take any mind-altering substances, because if you do, you're just going to end up going down that same rabbit hole again of addiction eventually, right? They feel like you don't have the ability to control it if you are truly an addicted person, or if you're an addict, as I like to call it. So I get a little bit of all that, and I take it all really personally, really personally. And I'm one of those people that I take other people's opinions to heart. I take other people's concerns to heart, and I have a tendency sometimes to wear that. I wear that, and then it brings me down when somebody jumps on and says, "Oh, well, you shouldn't do that, man. You shouldn't do that. You're playing with fire. That's going to become a slippery slope. You're going to be back to where," I'm the type of person that sits back and like, I wonder if they're right. I'm that guy. But I'm also the kind of guy that is very open to the idea that everyone's not the same. Everyone's not the same. And, there's going to be people that come on and say, well, that didn't work for me. I couldn't do that. I tried that I don't know how many times to control it, and I always ended up back in that same mess, to where I was just taking it all the time, way too much every day, and that's just not, that's just something I couldn't do. And people do tend to blot out and block out the fact that, hey, bro, everybody's not like you. Everyone's different. And I think one of the things that helps me to realize that is that dichotomy exists in my own family. My wife by no means is a drug addict. Anything she does regarding substances is always very measured and very controlled. She's one of those people who is truly a social substance user. Okay, she uses it to relax maybe in the evening, and my wife will drink maybe a glass of wine in the evening. But I've known my wife for 10 years, and I maybe have seen her intoxicated once, maybe twice. And this is out of 1,000 times drinking. So she's one of those people who it is just not in her to abuse things. Kratom. She likes Kratom. She loves how it gives you the energy. She loves how it gives you the mood lift, but it's just not within her to abuse it and to go overboard with it. Unlike me, I'm able to, when it comes to other things, alcohol, other things, I don't ever smoke weed anymore. Maybe once every couple of weeks or something like that I will. But I don't even call myself a weed smoker because I hardly ever do it. But I guess technically you could say that I dabble in it from time to time. But the only thing that I have to be careful about as far as controlling it is Kratom or some other sort of opiate, which I will say Kratom does not affect me the way that a lot of other opiates do. It's not nearly as strong. The sense of euphoria that you get is not nearly as strong as like a Vicodin or a Percocet or OxyContin or something like that. And I've had those. I've tried those. And I've also found that Kratom's much easier to come off of than is, something like Vicodin or Percocet. Doesn't mean it's easy, especially if you're a person who's been taking a large amount for a long period of time. It's not easy. It's not easy. Okay? And I want to be very clear about that, especially the mental, emotional anguish that you can go through. And I've talked about this before. How much you are using on a regular basis has a direct parallel with what your withdrawals are like. If you've been using a lot, when you go to stop, your withdrawals are going to be a lot. If you haven't been using that much and what you've been using on a regular basis is more down here, then your withdrawals will match that. Your withdrawals will be more down here. Okay? So it really is all about controlling that relationship with Kratom. Where am I at? Well, I haven't had any Kratom today. I feel fine. I took it most days last week. Like I said, I was off of work. I was at home. And that's something that, I have to be cognizant of that, me personally. Because I can definitely see where, for me, that could become a slippery slope, right? And that's one of those instances where that's a red flag for me. That's something for me to notice. That's something for me to be aware of. Okay, well, I like to have it when I'm at home with my family, right? Well, if I'm at home for a week straight, or if I'm on vacation for a week straight, I tend to like to take it. I tend to like to take it as much as I want to take it, And the way I stay away from the physical withdrawals is, I work 40 hours a week. I work a 40-hour-a-week job. If I'm not taking it while I'm working, or if I'm not taking it during the week, then that's not enough Kratom consumption, at least for me, to where when I go to stop taking it, that I'm having these negative effects and these negative withdrawal symptoms, certainly physical ones. Now, I will say, if you go on a bender and you're taking Kratom for several days straight, 3, 4, 5 days straight, especially if you're using it heavily, and then you go to stop, one day, you may not have any physical withdrawals, but you will, I've noticed, have some withdrawals of just, a little bit lower energy. Not bad, not horrible, but I have noticed, even with just doing like a short bender, it's quicker. It doesn't last as long. It's more like for a day or so, and then you're kind of back to where you were, at least for me. And the only physical symptom I've noticed with, using for several days straight, or using for a week straight, or a week and a half straight, or whatever, the only physical symptom I've noticed is my bowels will be a little bit, it's almost like you're purging your bowels. And what that is Kratom attaches to those opiate receptors in your brain. So when you're taking that, especially in larger amounts for days at a time, it's kind of stopping you up a little bit. Because I eat super healthy, vegetables, I drink a ton of water, all these things. So I've never been constipated by it, but it definitely, I think, slows down your digestive system, where things are not flowing as freely and moving as freely. So I have noticed, like when I stopped, I hadn't had any in, what's today, Thursday, I hadn't had any in 2 days. I took some Tuesday morning and I haven't had any since. It's now Thursday morning. Well, Thursday afternoon, about 12:30. So I did notice when I first stopped that next day, after stopping, after having done it for about a week straight and used for about a week straight, I did notice that, I pooped like 2 or 3 times that day. That's not normal for me, but it was my body, purging of I hate to get graphic here, but the feces that my body had been kind of holding on to because I've been using the Kratom every day. So anyway, man, my wife's calling me. I'm gonna cut this a little shorter than what I normally do. 25 minutes, that's short for me. You guys know I go hard in the paint. 35 minutes is usually about what I give you guys. But anyway, I wanted to pop back on, let you guys know I'm good. I'm still here. I know a lot of you probably wondered, oh man, he must have fallen off the wagon. He fell off the wagon. I wouldn't say I fell off. I would say I slipped and was kind of dragging behind it there for a minute. But that's what it's all about. And you have to be committed to, curtailing your relationship with it. You have to be committed to literally looking in the mirror and looking at how you use Kratom, and always guessing and second guessing and reevaluating and reassessing. Okay, how much have I been taking? Okay, I notice when I do this, I start taking more. I notice when I'm at work, it's not that big of a deal if I don't take it, and I don't think too much about it. I've noticed when I go on vacation, I tend to take it more. So I need to make sure that if I need to cut that back to where I'm not tempted to take it when I come back to reality and I come back to my job and I come back to my adult responsibilities, I need to make sure that I'm not having trouble putting it back down. Or even if you are having trouble, making sure that you put it back down in spite of it being difficult to put it back down. So that's kind of where I'm at on this channel. Obviously, I'm not completely abstinent. I don't do anything other than really take Kratom. That's kind of my thing. And one thing that made it difficult for me last week too is I was sick, and then I was home with my baby on Thursday. I didn't have time to really exercise. I noticed that as being a red flag. Plus I was using the Kratom, so I was like, you know what? Nah, can't do this. That's why this week I took a little bit on Monday and Tuesday I was off for a week. So I wanted to kind of get myself back into the swing of things at work, get myself caught up, because I had been out of work for a few days, and I've shared with you guys that my job does not do itself. I don't have a magic fairy that comes in and does my job for me when I'm not there. I have one of those jobs that I come back to my job and there's papers stacked up on my desk this tall, and I have to then catch up and knock that down and chip away at it. So I used it for that, just so I'd have a little bit of extra mood and motivation to get that done on Monday and then Tuesday morning. Then I stopped again. And every day this week, Monday, Tuesday, last night went to kickboxing. I'm gonna do something when I get home tonight. So I started back my exercise, full force, full regimen, been drinking my water, been super healthy this week, and I feel okay. I feel okay, other than just having a few stresses of my son being sick. And last week was kind of a challenging week for me on a personal level. I'm not going to go into all that, why that was. That it was really out. It didn't really have anything to do with Kratom per se. But anyway, I'm still here. I may not post every day. It's just something that takes up so much of my time. And that's why I kind of took a week off and kind of went on a week hiatus there. But I appreciate all the love, man. I had probably 10 people or more just jump on the channel and comment, hey bro, you good? Missing your content. Hope everything's good with you. And it really feels good to know that people are looking for it and anticipating a guy on my lunch break. Because I am. I am just a guy on my lunch break, bro. I mean, you know, nothing special about me. I mean, I got to go back to work in 25 minutes, you know. So let me give my wife a call. I love you guys very much. Thank you for all the support out there. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this sort of transparency and this sort of material. Let me know. Use this channel as your accountability mirror to get yourself into a healthy sort of vibe and relationship with Kratom, and let me know how I can help you with that. Again, I may not post every day, but I'm gonna keep posting. Haven't gone anywhere. Still here. All right, love you guys. See you next time. Peace.